This problem has been going on since the 1980s. Before I was a state senator, our assemblyman was on the Transportation Committee, and he had a hearing in the North Bergen chambers on the van problem, the proliferation and the problems they were causing. And he ran into the same brick wall we've all run into. They're under interstate commerce regulations, and we have no authority to regulate them. So what we eventually did was step up enforcement. And through the Hudson County Prosecutor's Office, working with the local police and the Sheriff's Department, they began a program of pulling the vans off the road and inspecting them, and found out things that were absolutely grotesque. Vans would have an insurance card that would belong to another van. Like, they would have a fleet, there'd be one insurance, and they would duplicate copies. Vans not registered, vans not licensed, but as quickly as you pulled them off the road and towed them away, that's how quickly they came back online. So any regulation we do has to go after the owners, not just the drivers, not just the renters. Because until they start seeing the full effect of the law, this is not going to stop. These dangerous conditions will continue. All you have to do is ride through North Hudson to watch the vans block traffic, go slowly so no one can get around them, pull over, go off the regular routes onto side streets, act like they're taxi cabs. It's one event after another. And right now, I'm going to call different people up who have different ways to approach this.
Good morning, everyone. First, let me offer my condolences to the Paredes family. This is tragic. The pain is immeasurable, and we all joined with that hurt. You know, I was the mayor of this town for 12 years, and we had issues with the jitney buses. Over time, these jitney buses have gotten more frequent, they have gotten larger, and yeah, the regulation has not changed. I will be joining Senator Menendez in asking the Division of Motor Carrier Safety to make sure they investigate Sphinx, to make sure that all the drivers have license and they meet all the safety requirements in the training. I also will be meeting with them in regards to enforcement. These buses are becoming more and more frequent. I think we have to coordinate between the federal government, the state, and the county forces to make sure that these buses are all licensed, that they carry the safety seal, and that the drivers are trained. It is unfortunate that it takes a tragedy like this to bring these issues to the forefront. My colleagues in the state level will be introducing their own legislation, and we will be coordinating in terms of what we can do at the federal level and working with them at the local level. So the purpose is to make sure that all these drivers are properly licensed, all the drivers are properly trained, and all the vehicles meet the safety standards that is required. As of now, I think it's more difficult to license taxi drivers than it is to license these jitney buses. We all have experienced the jitney buses slowing down as they pick up passengers in the middle of the street, pulling in the middle of the street, holding up traffic. And this area in particular is an area where many people cross the street, especially children, because the town pool is right down below. But it's a problem that is all throughout the county. So I'm here to work with the local legislators, work with our senator, and we will move forward as soon as we get back to Washington, have a meeting with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration on what we can do to improve the situation that we have here. So thank you very much.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Mayor and State Senator Sacco, Congressman Albio Series, Assemblywoman and Assemblymen, elected officials, and distinguished guests. Last Tuesday, July 30th, tragedy struck our beloved town of West New York. An 8-month-old baby, precious life, was cut short just at this location. West New York and our sister cities are mourning the loss of the little angel named Angelique. Our prayers and heartfelt condolences go to their father, Mr. Jairo Paredes, and mother, Mrs. Maylene Paredes. We join you in your sorrow for the loss of your little Angelique. We also pray for your families, friends, and all those physically and emotionally scarred by this unfortunate event. Today, we're gathered here as your leaders, united in our resolve to do everything in our power and ensure that a tragedy such as this will never happen again. We're asking these dignitaries gathered here to draft legislation that would assure that in the future, the Jitney bus service in Hudson County will be conducted in safe, clean vehicles which will be regularly inspected. They will be operated by drivers who are not only qualified, but they will be given national background checks and monitored for vehicle violations. We're not here to put Jitney bus industry out of business. We're all here to make sure that going forward, all bus transportation available to our community is safe, properly inspected, insured, and is being operated by a fully vetted and qualified driver. The safety of the passengers and the community at large cannot and would not be compromised. Our residents deserve nothing less. Please, let's all say yes to life, and thank you.
Good morning. It's terrible on a beautiful day like today to be at this site that such a tragedy happened a week ago. My condolences to the family of something that ended a young life too early. As a parent, as a grandparent, my heart goes out to this family. We're here today to give you our assurances that this is a problem that we're going to tackle from both the state and the federal side, because it's very important. This has been an ongoing issue, whether it's commuter vans, jitneys, or even taxis and limousines. We are to a point that in the state of New Jersey, we need a uniform transportation code, meaning to see how we regulate these different entities to make sure that the proper individuals are driving these vehicles and that we're monitoring them just to make sure that there's no infractions committed while they're in their everyday life, that they bring it over when they are driving our residents of our towns. So this is something that's very important. Senator Sacco touched upon that this is a long time issue. Back in 2005, we held a hearing in Perth Amboy. The jitneys were taken off the road, and at a clip about 98% with violations, they were back on the road within a couple of days. That's unacceptable. This has to change. Congressman Series is here also that there's an issue, once they go interstate, some jurisdiction is lost from the state. We need to work together as a partnership between state and federal to make sure that accidents like this do not happen again, because one is too many, so we can't allow this. So I look forward to working with my colleagues to make sure we come up with something that would be uniform statewide and will protect our residents. Thank you so much for being here.
6 months ago, I actually took a ride on the jitneys, and I wanted to be sure that I was sure. And as I rode that jitney from one end of town to the other, I realized how dangerous it was. The racing to corners to pick up passengers, the near side swipes of vehicles, the passenger safety was just at risk. It's with that information and that experience that I created a bill that was geared towards passenger safety and security. And the reason I did that because the rider public has to be protected, as they are with similar to the limo laws that we have. These buses that we have out here now are operating under the laws of a jitney. The only thing is none of them are jitneys. I have been working very close with the LANJ, who is here today, to support this bill. And the reason that we're doing this is because, again, the passenger safety is at risk. And it is up to us to move forward to make sure that every one of these buses fall within the regulations that we have. It is so unfortunate we have to do this today at this site. But my heart goes out to the family, and as a parent, I can only imagine the pain that they're going through. So I'm asking all my colleagues to join forces and let us move forward on Bill 3993. Thank you.
As you are all well aware of this tragic accident, I only live a few blocks away from here. As I spoke to Senator Sacco and Assemblyman Maynor, I co-primed this bill with Assemblyman Maynor, and it's funny because years ago, back in the early 90s, I was actually struck, my car was struck by one of these jitneys, and I always had these issues with these cars because of my issue back then was transit jobs, New Jersey transit jobs. Little did I ever think that something like this would happen, and that you know, transit, New Jersey Transit would not be supportive. They wouldn't really, I think, care so much about these jobs. But anyway, these drivers are very irresponsible. Many of them are. I know they do provide a great service to us in our communities, but they need to be overseen by another agency because obviously they are not doing the right thing. They are not driving responsibly as other transit companies like New Jersey Transit does oversee their drivers. So I feel that they should be overseen. The bill that Charlie introduced in the Assembly is a very good bill, and it's a start. But we also have to start as, not only as legislators, that we are doing our part, but the public has to be very vigilant in when you board, if for necessity you have to ride on one of these buses, which do provide a service to our community, and we're not arguing that. We have to be vigilant that they are doing the right thing, that they are not being irresponsible, that they are not on their cell phones or have money in one hand and the steering wheel in another hand. What happened here the other day was something that touched us all. It was something that could have been avoided, and I am hoping that something will be done. We are working hard as legislators, and we need the public support. We need to be vigilant. When you see, if you board any of these vans, jitneys, buses, whatever they're called, you have to make sure that they are driving how they should be driving.